everything that we've been talking about. The problem is like, and actually I think we can connect this to something that I do want to address, is Roberto Martinez, who, he a fine person, a good manager, but I truly believe that Roberto Martinez is at his best when he manages, the likes of Wigan or what, a team that needs to be built, a team that needs to be developed, a team that needs to continue to grow. Belgium, I don't think, and for everything that he did in 2018, and obviously with that talent, you have to do something. But I think that Belgium reached a certain ceiling with him years ago. Canada exposed it, and Morocco exposed it again. Now, that's why his issue is that he doesn't fit that perspective and strategy that Roberto Martinez wants to do. It really is Lukaku, but to Shaka's point, he's not 100%, so he couldn't do that. So what do? You really need to now pay attention to what's happening right now, right? If Tom Hamilton's talking about the Hazard brothers not delivering, well, who is delivering? Leandro Trossard. Why don't you start him from the get-go? He's feeling good, he's confident, he's mobile, right? And then at the very least, you can create some kind of reaction to this very pacey, this very dynamic Moroccan side. So there was, as much as we want to talk about, the degeneration, the going away, the sort of facade of the golden generation, that it's clearly going away. We also have to talk about the fact that, did Roberto Martinez get it right today? Was that really the starting 11 that you think we're going to do something, especially after what you saw against Canada?
And I think your underlying point there, Luis, I think what you're actually saying is time's up on Roberto Martinez as Belgian manager, right? Would you agree with that, Shaka?
Yes, I would. Listen, I think given the feelings of the Belgian golden generation, I don't see how you defend Roberto Martinez's record at international level. And I thought a few weeks ago we had Vincent Kompany on ESPN FC doing an interview with Gab, or was it Jules?
Both, I think.
They're one and the same person
I'm trying to remember. But something he said stuck with me in defense of Belgium's golden generation and as a result of Roberto Martinez. He said, well, the best team doesn't always win the World Cup. And I found that such a strange thing to say. And my response to that was, well, what does that mean? What does that mean exactly? You dismiss, you kind of accept a FIFA ranking of the top nation in the world, but then dismiss it all by, well, the best team doesn't win. And I find that so empty. And I find that, and maybe it is Vincent Kompany just being a former international, being a coach himself, not wanting to be too disparaging around many players that he knows. We've all kind of been there where it's somebody we know and know well, and we don't want to be overly critical. But in the end, you can't just offer something as empty as, well, the best team doesn't always win, because that serves absolutely no one in trying to better Belgium.
He's kind of insulting his own team, Shaka, isn't he?
It really is. It really is.
Tom, do you want to add a further point on Belgium?
I just think it's a huge shame that we're going to see a player like Kevin De Bruyne probably finish without a major international trophy. I think he's been one of the best players in the world for the last decade. And we've seen other generations come and go, the likes of Vincent Kompany, who sort of define Belgian football. It's going to be so interesting to see where they are in 8 years' time. There's enough sort of football knowledge and enough football nous within this group to really make something remarkable for the next generation. And they've just got to give them opportunity. And I think there's going to be a really stark finish between one generation and the next. I think you're going to see, we talked about the age of the defence, you're going to see them suddenly probably slip into the international wilderness, and we're going to see other players slow down. And suddenly you're going to have these guys with 70, 80 caps, leaving it to people with far fewer. And there's going to be a really big sort of dividing line between the two. It was nice to see Onana start today. I think he's a brilliant player. And,
very good.
But still, there's a lot of players out of form. And going back, I was too harsh on Batshuayi earlier, but what it does suggest is that I'm rowing back now. But it does, he can't, like Lukaku so often has been the guy who kind of takes the game by the scruff of the neck, and Batshuayi needs someone like that alongside him to help play it in, and he just can't have the same effect. So it's, at the moment, they've just got pretty ordinary.
I think, Tom, you're right. I think the key there is Batshuayi is a player who comes in alongside somebody else to make a two-pronged attack, as it were. But he's not one to lead the line with. And again, listen, I understand taking Romelu Lukaku with the hopes that he's fit and firing in time for the group, in time for the knockout stage. And at that point, if you do fall, I can't remember how the grid plays out, but if you fall behind in one of those knockout games against whoever it is, and you can bring back Chouai on when you need a goal, that makes total sense. But I don't think that there was that kind of plan A almost in terms of getting out of the group stage and overcoming what Belgium have in front of them.
Hey.
But at the same time, I need to say, I think as much as we're right to criticize Belgium, we also have to give Morocco their praise.
Yeah, that's where I was going, Shaka.
You have players like Ziyech, who've been frustrated at Chelsea, incredibly talented. I also think that there's huge value to where this tournament is being held in the Middle East, and I know Moroccan or African, but North Africa, and falls into that general catchment area. And there's a lot of expectation around teams like Morocco in this World Cup in particular, and a lot of unknowns for them. And whenever we talk about World Cups, and the beauty of World Cups for me is, while yes, come the end of the tournament, a lot of the focus will be on the winners and some of the bigger nations who you expect to be there, especially at this stage of the tournament. Some of these smaller, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to Morocco, certainly not in this circumstance, but some of these nations where they're less focused on, and how much it means to those players to be playing on this stage, how much it means to those fans. And you see how many Moroccans showed up today. To see their countries on this stage representing, putting noses out of joint, means more, or means as much to this small group of fans as it does to some of the larger nations who will go on to win semi-finals and maybe even win the final. Yeah. And I think that, for me, while we have the opportunity, we need to be we need to enjoy and certainly relish.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.